Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to start with Senator Jackson. You're going to deal with 995 and, actually, why don't you, and 1416, House Bill 1416, right? You want to do that House ones first real quick?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the Budget and Taxation Committee. For the record, Senator Michael Jackson representing District 27 and the Charles County delegation on behalf of House Bill 1416. House Bill 1416 passed through the Charles County House and Senate delegations, as well as the full House of Delegates unanimously. It simply enables the Charles County Commissioners to establish a property tax credit for active or retired volunteer fire and rescue service workers, as well as EMTs who reside in Charles County. This legislation came to us from the Charles County Commissioners, who believed that this would be a fitting benefit and home ownership incentive in the county. We also believe that this would serve an effective way to recruit and retain qualified volunteer first responders. With that, Mr. Chair, we ask for a favorable report.
Very good questions. Thank you, Senator.
And I do have letters from the House and Senate delegation, just so.
Very good.
I learned from yesterday, so. All right. If I may.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the Budget and Taxation Committee. Again, for the record, Senator Michael Jackson representing District 27 on behalf of Senate Bill 995, Gaming Electronic Bingo Machines Expansion. Senate Bill 995 is a very straightforward bill that simply lifts the cap placed on electronic instant bingo machines based upon the number of machines held by licensed holders on February 28, 2008, which would allow for a 300 machine increase for each commercial instant bingo machine operator, with a $1,000 per machine investment in the facility where the machine is located. Each of these investments would be subject to the review and certification of the Maryland Lottery and Gaming Control Commission, and all new machines and devices will be subject to current oversight regulations as well. Because of the advent of the large casino industry in Maryland, many of the small instant bingo operators have suffered significant losses in their income since casinos first came to Maryland. Allowing instant bingo operators this needed expansion will provide a small offset to those losses and help to sustain their businesses. With that, Mr. Chairman, and I know we have a work group, I would respectfully ask for a favorable report. So I'll stand for questions.
Very good. Questions? You have one witness?
One witness, yes. Thank you.
Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Gazzoni, members of the committee, thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak on this important Senate Bill 995. My name is Jerry Evans. I represent both Bingo World in Anne Arundel County and the Rod and Reel in Chesapeake Beach, both which are family-owned businesses, collectively have offered commercial bingo in our state for well over 100 years. I would like to thank the sponsor, Senator Jackson, for introducing this bill, and thank the subcommittee, Chair Zucker, for taking the time to have the work session the other day. I thought it was very helpful. Along those lines, let me just say from the outset that we fully support all commercial bingo folks getting additional licenses. We're all in additional machines. We're all in the same boat here. My clients would simply like to continue to offer their customers the latest machine models. To do this, we have to constantly be bringing in better machines. The more machines we have, the more flexibility we have engaging the gaming experience of our patrons. In spite of what's been touted by the casino industry, I really don't think they'll be closing their doors if these facilities get a few more machines. We do about 1/100th what the casinos do a month in gross receipts. But we remain supportive of the casino industry. They offer a very different product for the citizens of Maryland. Fortunately, the bingo industry still has a small, loyal group of folks who enjoy what we offer. We simply ask for your help to stay alive and a little more current in the offerings we provide the public. Thank you very much. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Senate Bill 975, Senator Jennings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the committee, Senator Jennings for Senate Bill 975. This bill deals with our veterans and those that are most disabled. As you know, disability is based off of a rating, a percentage, 5, 10, all the way up to 100. Those that have 100% disability are, of course, the worst that have come back from combat, that are suffering the most. And Maryland does a great job of taking care of its veterans. And one of the things it does do is offer 100% property tax credit. But the problem is they have to apply for that after they've already purchased their home. So when, a veteran's going to go buy a home with his family and they're at the closing table, they have to put all the money in escrow for their taxes and everything else. Once they purchase the property, then they can apply to the state and take advantage of that 100% tax credit that they are allowed, that this state gives them. What this bill does is says, hey, when they actually go to buy the property, they can apply for it prior to closing, and when approved, they take advantage of that tax credit. Therefore, they do not have to come up with that additional funding at closing. It helps out the veterans, the fact that they have to have less money at closing. It actually increases their buying power from the lenders to be able to purchase more. This bill passed unanimously out of the House. It was amended. I do have the amendment that I would like to offer on the bill, and just quickly to describe it, what it does is on page 3, it makes it so that it has to specify what house it is you're going for, just not any house. And then on lines 9 through 12 on page 3, it just stipulates that they can present to the borrower, to the lender, that they were approved for this program, and that it's a much more quickly cohesive process at closing. So, Mr. Chairman, I move favorable on the bill and ask for your support.
Questions for Senator? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Senator McCray. This is the same as a House bill too, right?
Yeah, I think that Dolly Henson may be joining us.
Unless he's offering an amendment, they're different.
You want to do both at the same time, Mr. Chair?
That's fine. I understand that they're slightly different at this point. Are you putting them in the same position?
I'm going to make sure it's in the same posture as the House.
Okay, very good.
Please. Mr. Chair, first, just for the record, Corey McCray, Senator for the 45th Legislative District, proud and honored to be sitting beside some phenomenal women and Mr. Johnson that will be joining us. I get the proud privilege to be able to cross-file this bill with Delegate Shanika Henson on such a very important institution in our great state of Maryland at this time. Unfortunately, I didn't learn about the museum until about 7 or 8 years ago and got to visit it for the first time when I got in the General Assembly, but been a friend and been a supporter ever since, and just know its importance. One of the things is, as being the chair of subcommittee chair for public safety, transportation, and environment, I got to see where I didn't think that this museum was getting the love that it should get, and the posture that it should get under GOCAP. So it was moved to GOCAP after a certain period of time. And what this bill will do, Senate Bill 953, is turn this into an independent agency. Make sure that it's getting the love, attention that it deserves from that standpoint. As it came over in the Senate, it had capital and it had operating, and the posture that it's in is just dealing with operating. I believe that there's another bill that was in that dealt with the capital, so I would like to conform that bill. Mr. Chair, I could talk to you on and on and on about Benjamin Banneker, but I could also talk to you about Verda Welcome and the importance in reference to what she did for our city, but our great state of Maryland. I'll stop that because I have some phenomenal people here that could do a greater justice than I can. Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you,
yeah.
Senator. Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Shanika Henson, Delegate for District 30A. Thank you, distinguished members of the Budget and Tax Committee, for hearing this bill. House Bill 1048 and Senate Bill 953 does exactly as the Senate sponsor described. It makes our Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, which is housed in the Banneker Douglas Museum, an independent agency in the executive branch. It also provides additional operating funding for the commission. A bill that was a companion to this bill did pass the House and cross into the Senate as well, that was sponsored by our Speaker, Adrian Jones. And the bill increased the preservation grant that's administered by the African American History and Culture Committee. And with the preservation grant increasing, the need for more technical support, more staff to be able to administer that grant is something that we want to provide with this bill as well. Thank you very much. I'll also mention that this bill did pass the House. It was near unanimous, but it did enjoy a wide variety of support in both committee and on the floor. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the Budget and Taxation Committee. Members, thank you for allowing me to provide testimony this morning on behalf of this very important bill. I am Reverend Tamara E. Wilson, Chair of the Commission, and it has been my honor to serve on the Commission for nearly 8 years. I am convinced that I've had no greater honor. While I never met Senator Welcome, I've had the privilege of meeting many who knew her well, including her daughter, Mary Sue Welcome. Through conversations with Ms. Welcome, I've come to establish that the commission was among her mother's greatest work. What Senator Welcome established in 1969 was trailblazing. Like so many others, she saw the impact that racial injustice continued to have on Black people, but she understood that the problem required more than applying a Band-Aid approach where a tourniquet was needed. She understood that to get to the core of racism, something needed to be done that could affect meaningful change, not just for the moment in time, but it would also need to be sustainable for generations to come. Establishing a commission that would elevate the contributions of Black people in the shaping of our state was born out of that understanding. Senator Welcome believed celebrating and documenting these contributions would instill a sense of pride that would not only uplift Black people, but would also empower the citizens of our state to come together to do the work of establishing an equitable Maryland. Her colleagues agreed with her at that time. In fact, legislators around the country agreed, and the commission that she worked so hard to establish here in the state of Maryland became a national model for the establishment of 9 other African American commissions around the country and countless other ethnic commissions. The commission has continued to represent the state of Maryland as a model of transformative change for over 50 years. It is unique from other commissions that has been modeled after it, and that it is, in addition to its mission of preserving and celebrating African American history and culture, it provides oversight of the state's Museum on African American History and Culture and the state's African American Preservation Grant. And therefore, I ask for your support today.
Great job, Dr. Wilson.
Greeting Chair Gazone, Vice Chair, and members of the Budget and Taxation Committee. My name is Chanel Compton, Executive Director for the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture and the Banneker Douglas Museum, your state museum on African American history and culture. I thank you all for your time and all that you do for the great state of Maryland. I also want to thank Senator Corey McCray for his leadership and work with Speaker Adrian Jones, Delegate Shanika Henson, our District 30 delegation. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing to advance the mission of the commission and the museum. Working with these great leaders has been a true joy and honor. I come to you today to humbly ask for your support for Senate Bill 953, known as the Senator Verda Welcome Act. This legislation will increase the capacity of the Commission and your state museum. Our commission was established over 50 years ago under the leadership of Senator Verda Freeman Welcome, the first Black woman senator in Maryland and the second in the nation. She was a champion for civil rights. She survived an assassination attempt and still continued her legislative work championing social change in Maryland. She knew firsthand how the erasure of one's history can impact a people for generations. She worked with scholars, community leaders to develop the nation's first state commission tasked with preserving and making accessible to the public Black history, art, and culture. Her vision for this commission was to inspire, educate, and uplift communities and promote greater equity in Maryland. The Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture established the Banneker Douglas Museum, the African American Heritage Grant Program, to advance her vision. The Banneker Douglas Museum, I hope all of you have been there, is truly a magical place. It's a place where Frederick Douglass once spoke, where Rosa Parks once spoke. It houses 2,000 artifacts chronicling Maryland Black civil rights history and culture. The commission operates the museum and has been severely underfunded for years. An average of 3% of our operating budget supports our research and collections management, marketing and communications, youth and public programs, and exhibitions. It's not enough. An increased budget will also address our staffing needs in areas of our grant management, collections and exhibitions, education, outreach, required to advance our vision. Was that the time? Yeah. Okay. This grant, this budget is historic because it not only makes our museum more viable to the public, but it also increases the grant program, which will economically revitalize communities throughout the state of Maryland through African American heritage tourism. So I ask that you support this historic bill. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Guzzoni, esteemed members of this committee, Senator McCray and Delegate Henson. Thank you so much for your work in this endeavor. My name is Dr. Edwin T. Johnson, and I am a commissioner on the Maryland Commission for African American History and Culture representing Baltimore City, and I appreciate the opportunity to be before you here today. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at a pivotal moment in space in our history. American democracy is under attack. In fact, democracy is under attack in the world as we know it. And I personally believe and am completely convinced that one of the best tools to use effectively against racial intolerance, hatred, and ignorance is information. And I think that the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, coupled with the Banneker Douglas Museum, provides irrefutable evidence that there is an African American experience and history in this state that cannot be denied. In addition to serving on the commission, I have been a higher education educator at 5 institutions, public, private, and community college, over almost 3 decades. And I can tell you that there's something transformative that happens when you can associate yourself with something greater than who you are. When you have information that tells accurate stories, you have an educated citizenry, and when you have an educated citizenry, they cannot be hoodwinked. This is an important moment in space that we're in. The state of Maryland did an amazing thing when it instituted the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture more than half a century ago. Continue in that same vein and continue to support the great work that you've done. We were a trailblazing commission when we started, America's first ethnic commission. Please continue to provide us with what we need to do this great work. And I promise you, generations yet unborn will be the beneficiaries. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm a big fan of the museum, not just because it's in my district, but it's a wonderful museum. And certainly the grants, and I appreciate the speaker has the separate bill about increasing the capital funding for the grant. But Ms. Compton, thank you for your work, and we've had this conversation about the need for greater technical assistance, because those grants touch every corner of the state of Maryland, all of our districts. Can you speak just briefly about this funding and the greater technical support you can provide to those grantees moving forward, should we pass this bill?
Yes, so this grant has funded 150 heritage projects throughout the state of Maryland and has reached all but one, correct me if I'm wrong.
Worcester County and, no, we got Garrett and Howard County.
So the goal is, we have a tremendous amount of applicants that apply that are eligible that we are unable to apply, support every year. And even, I'm just gonna add this to my answer. African-American heritage preservation has been recognized to be underfunded in the state of Maryland. And even Maryland Historical Trust has partnered with the commission on a racial equity study to find ways to provide greater access for African-American heritage sites throughout the heritage areas. So this grant will fund new projects, current projects throughout the state of Maryland, such as historic monuments, schoolhouses, churches. It's heavily needed and has been documented as such.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Appreciate you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
I'll send it. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Good, how are you?
Okay. Perfect timing. Delegate Healy?
Good afternoon,
Afternoon.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'm here to present, I'm Delegate Ann Healy. I'm here to present House Bill 38, which is about the Maryland Transportation Authority video tolls collection. This is reinstating a policy that expired by sunset last year, and it passed a few years ago with the 3-year sunset, and it was allowed to expire in May of 2021. And what it does is it allows the Maryland Transportation Authority to pull back from central collection for good reason, any kind of situation where it's necessary to help people get their tolls paid correctly and properly. And it's supported by the agency as well, and it passed the House and Senate, the House and the committee, E&T unanimously. And there's details in my, I don't know if you have my written testimony, but it's been a thorny issue, and I think everybody knows that the Easy Pass situation has been difficult for a lot of people. So, thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions from the committee? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
I'm going back to listen to Senator Pinsky talk about the climate action.
Ah. We've heard a little bit about that. 9:45.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Haven Shoemaker to present House Bill 945, which is a little Carroll County bill pertaining to multi-drawing raffles. We introduced this legislation at the request of our volunteer fire companies in Carroll County. As everybody knows, in the wake of the pandemic, they weren't allowed to or weren't able to raise money as they typically do through having their carnivals. So they've asked that the present cap on doing their weekly drawings be extended from 30 weeks to 52 weeks so that they can make up some of the deficit that they've experienced over the last couple years, and that's pretty much what the bill does.
Very good questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So we have calls out to all these delegates? Were we able to add on the ones? They were called also?
Everyone was called and told to be here at 1:30.
11:51?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's the one, okay. Yeah. Okay, hopefully we'll get a couple takers in a minute. I guess they want their bills. We can mix in. Where'd she go?
Did you have to show this to Guy or I have to show it to him?
He received that email as well, so he has that.
It's okay.
Yeah, but if you're okay with it, that would be good.
I think we'll mix in a little bit of voting. We heard just a few minutes ago, 975, Senator Jennings.
Yep, you did favorable.
Second.
I have amendment.
Give her, there's an amendment, so.
Okay, so Senate Bill 975, as you heard the testimony, it basically deals with an existing exemption in terms of the process for getting pre-approval for the exemption. The sponsor did mention some amendments, which he, absolutely explained thoroughly. So the basic process is an individual, if they have a specific house in mind, would notify SDAT. The department would then need to send the applicant a letter stating either that it's preliminarily approved or denied. If it's preliminarily approved, the amount of the tax exemption, it must be stated. And an individual who is issued a letter preliminary approving the exemption shall receive the exemption for the dwelling after they purchase it without having to file another application.
Okay, very good. Questions on the bill as amended? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Senator Quarterman, you haven't had one for a while. Okay. Honored with the presence of the Chair of the Appropriations Committee.
You're starting that kind of early, aren't you?
Well, we don't know how many times we're going to get you over here.
A few, actually. A couple of times, I think.
Okay.
This is easy, though.
All right, 1,400.
Mr. Chairman, it's good to see you, and it's good to see the committee. I'm just thinking today about Senator Elving. I don't know if you know this, but I'm putting a little bond little capital money in for a little park down on Franklin Street that didn't get any money in the city portion, so just so you know. Now, you don't know anything about it, but I know you'll protect it in the conference committee, right? So it is good to see you, and it's good to have worked with all of you. So today,
What did you bring for me,
I know.
Madam Chair?
Oh, honey. When I looked at that fenced-off group of, great things that we're doing in Maryland, actually, I said the budget passed the floor today, and it was actually a very good debate on the floor. And the minority whip stood up and said that he was really distressed that the budget had grown from 40 million to over 50 million in his 8 years, and he's leaving, and he's very distressed about that. So I, of course, stood up and reminded him that it was the governor's budget that he was talking about. But I also said that I really didn't think I'd ever see a time when I could look down at the list of things that we're funding in this budget and see a 4% increase for our providers, see help to hospitals, helps to art organizations, help to, dental care for the folks who need it the most. I mean, just on and on and on and on. So it's a great budget. And we passed it. We're working on the capital budget now, and it's equally as good. So I'm very pleased. I'm glad to get this over. So, but I do have a little bill for you here today. It's House Bill 1400, Morgan
Bring it
State.
on. Bring it on.
Morgan State University increased their bond principal amount, which is needed. I think Morgan State University has not had an increase in their bonding authority for some time, and it was recommended they do. Somehow it was left out, and this increased their bonding authority to $140 million. It's a simple bill. And, of course, they are located in my district, and they're a great, great, great university in this state.
Very good.
That's it.
Questions? All right, very good.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Are you doing anything I should know about?
Probably.
That's what I hear. Word travels over there, Very good.
I'll see you shortly.
Are we having a meeting today? Okay. All right, I'll be there.
718?
They told me you all had cameras over here, Mr. Chairman, so I want to make sure I put my jacket just in case. Chair Guzzoni, Vice Chair Rosapep, and members of the, can I take this off? Sure. Okay. Chairman Guzzoni, Vice Chair Rosapep, and members of the mighty Budget and Taxation Committee. For the record, Delegate Mike Rogers, Legislative District 32, Anne Arundel County. And I'm here to request a favorable report for House Bill 718. This bill simply adds a third delegate who represents the district where the video lottery terminal facilities are located, and that just happens to be at Maryland Live. No fiscal note. The senator in the district supports the bill, but unfortunately, that would be Senator Bito. It got stuck in rules, so it gave me a chance to come see Budget and Tax today. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Thank you very much.
I got to come over here more often. This is great. Thank you.
288.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee, for the record, Delegate Brian Crosby, here to present House Bill 288, infant car seats, baby bottles, and nipples tax exemption. The bill simply exempts car seats, baby bottles, bottle nipples from Maryland's sales, use, and tax, and reduces the burden on working families. Families are buying about 8 to 10 bottles per year, and they replace the nipples about every 3 months. And the average car seat is well over $250, which I am finding out right now for the first time. For one child alone, these items can add up to over $500 per year. Similar legislation has been proposed in other states. Connecticut and Florida have exempted car seats. Minnesota has exempted bottles and nipples. And Maryland already exempts products like nursing equipment, baby powder, and baby formula. And for people laying or families living paycheck to paycheck, this exemption could be a very big deal, difference maker, especially with inflation the way it is. Working alongside with the Speaker and Delegate Jones, we've tried to put together a package of bills to make things easier for working families to combat inflation, as I mentioned. And for those reasons, I ask the committee for a favorable report.
Okay, questions? Thank you, Delegate.
All right, thank you.
1151.
Good afternoon. For the record, Delegate Alonzo Washington here to present on House Bill 1151, which creates a sales tax exemption for diabetic care items, including insulin tablets, blood and urine ketone supplies, insulin pumps, and more. The sales tax exemption created by this bill will save Maryland residents much-needed funds to address their health and well-being. And as the cost of diabetic care continues to rise across the state, it's time to reduce the financial burden on nearly 700,000 Marylanders who are diabetic in the state. For those reasons, I ask for a favorable report on House Bill 1151.
Questions? Thank you very much,
Thank
Delegate.
you. See you guys.
See you. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
There's always one.
Mr. Delegate, is this the bill you was lobbying me on last night?
That's another favor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I see my delegate back there. You don't have a bill on here, though. I'm going to hand it over to the Vice Chair. We can
Yep,
work the list a little bit.
okay.
I'm here on 725, I think I'm doing.
Well, come on up. 725, yes. You
All
introduce
right.
yourself and the bill?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, my name is Brad Fallon, here to present House Bill 725 on behalf of Delegate Eric Lukey. The bill is the cross-file to Senator King's SB 506, which was passed by both the committee and the full Senate. I won't go into details about the bill, but essentially they came out in different statures. We're working currently with the Senate sponsor and stakeholders to find a compromise, and we're presenting that to you all very soon. So with that, I'll conclude.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We need to take Senate Records Bill, Senate Bill 938.
Let's take Senator Eckert's bill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Thanks for being patient with me today. I've had bills in the House and bills in the Senate all at the same time, so thank you very much. This is kind of a very unique situation, and the individual that I'm bringing this bill to you on has been very much concerned, so let me just review the situation for you. The bill would allow a former member of the employees' pension system who meets certain criteria to purchase eligibility service credit for past employment with the state for which the former member is otherwise technically not entitled to. In order to purchase that credit, the member must pay about 50% of the member and employer cost of the service instead of the full cost. Now, this is, again, a unique situation because this individual had worked for the state, had been in one system, and then there was a break, and then went into another system. And really, we've tried to work it out with the retirement agency because my thought was it's probably cost prohibitive. I thought maybe I'd find out what the cost was by bringing it to the committee to be able to get that kind of cost estimate, but I did not see it when I finally got the fiscal note the other night. And the retirement agency thinks, I mean, right now, there may be only one person who falls into this situation, but unfortunately, we don't know what the full possibility out there may be. So I brought it to you to be able to at least have a little bit of discussion about that. Again, this person was a member of the Maryland Department of Transportation who had his membership with the Employee Pension Service in 1999, terminated employment of 2009, and then he wanted to purchase the service credit beginning from 1994 up to 1991. So it's kind of a confusing situation.
Thank you, Chair. Senator, could you just, the years again? I want to understand the kind of unique situation we have here.
He began employment, he was in contractual employment, so
Okay.
he worked with the state full-time and then terminated employment in 2009, but wanted to go back for, he had contractual employment with MDOT in 1984 through 91. So it was that contractual employment where he was not eligible.
Okay. I think I understand it, but I think there might be another question.
Yeah, and we may need, Ann Gothrop is
Okay.
familiar with, and Philip may be
Okay.
familiar with the situation as well, that we can have discussion on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, just following up on the subcommittee chair's questions. I do have some questions, and I think you mentioned in your testimony not being sure who or how many people might fall into that category.
Correct.
Whether or not we would be establishing a precedent. But we can work through the subcommittee and offline, so thank you.
And that's been my hesitancy,
Yes, yes. It
because
feels like-
it's just, we haven't done that before.
Yeah, it feels like it could be significant, but certainly understand you trying to address a constituent's need, so we'll work offline.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You, other questions? Oh, we have a witness, Ravindra Gambhir? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Yes, Senator, Delegate.
I'm sorry?
We're now on the House Bill system. So House Bill 1100.
House Bill 1100. Here we go. Great. Please come up, Delegate.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and the members of the Budget and Taxation Committee. I'm Delegate Pam Queen for the record. I'm introducing HB 1100. HB 1100, which is titled Child Care Providers and Employees Bonuses, is actually a cross-file of SB 806, which is the bill for Senator King. And so what this bill tries to do is address an issue that has been exacerbated during the COVID-19 pandemic, and that's with the availability of child care provider facilities in Maryland. So child care providers, many of whom are women business owners, have been struggling to provide a nurturing, caring, and an educational environment for Maryland children, attract and retain quality staff, and keep costs down while working families are trying to get back to work, as well as maintaining a profit. And so HB 1100 is intended to aid these child care providers with attracting and maintaining employees with bonuses administered by the Maryland State Department of Education. And these would be bonuses that will get them back to their pre-pandemic levels or expand so that they can remain open and stay open. And so what we're trying to do is provide bonuses for retention, trying to provide bonuses to hire more staff, and to get those staff, to get the staff members to take various certification programs offered by the state. And so this is a package that has been provided to help with that. And so this is one of our first steps in trying to maintain a quality child care providers, staff, as well as having quality facilities for Marylanders. And so we hope to get our families back to work by stabilizing the child care provider industry, and this bill is one of the steps to do this. This bill passed out favorably in the House Appropriations Committee, the Ways and Means Committee, and off the House floor. And we seek a favorable recommendation from this committee as well. Thank you.
Any comments? Thank you very much, Delegate.
Thank you for your time.
House Bill 566, yes. Delegate Boyce, back again.
Back again. Because this isn't virtual, this is like 1980s, but I'm going to send this around so you have a visual of what I'm speaking about. You're quite welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for helping me getting my steps in by running across the street. For the record, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the Budget and Taxation Committee. For the record, I'm Delegate Regina T. Boyce, presenting HB 566, School Construction Design Documents Waste Disposal Infrastructure. So HB 566 requires the Interagency Commission on School Construction to adopt regulations for County Board of Elections to include a waste disposal infrastructure in school design documents for the construction of new school buildings. A waste disposable infrastructure is defined as a place in the cafeteria for the disposal of trash, recyclables, food scraps, and a sink to discard liquid waste. So school cafeterias across the country are separating their waste. Most of them have begun out of a curiosity, some as an extension of their science class or environmental clubs, and others as a way to begin composting to feed school gardens. Regardless of the reasons, it's happening. And some of the challenges of beginning the process to separate waste are personal and essentially logistics. Most schools have one janitorial person, which makes managing this process challenging. However, in some schools, the students have created ways to separate cafeteria waste. In these cases, the janitor has been involved, and to much of their surprise, the janitor has less heavy, smelly, messy garbage. And it has made the janitor's work a bit lighter, and the school's ability to recycle real and practical. And in a lot of ways as well, it helps them to be able to get the stuff out to the separated containers outside of the school. The next challenge, of course, is logistics, how to categorize waste to separate it, where to put it, and with what equipment. And at some schools, as mentioned, students physically separate out recyclables and waste using buckets, for instance, to collect food or waste. Liquid waste, and the separation makes it just easier to transport. So HB 566 design requirement for new schools will make waste separation easy for students, manageable for maintenance personnel, and sustainable for schools. Most importantly, by learning recycling and composting at schools with visual aids as daily reminders, students are able to make this practice, take this practice home and adopt sustainability as a permanent lifestyle. HB 566 design's requirement is on par with our state's goals to reduce our carbon footprint and reverse the damage we've done to our planet. So it is with that, I thank you for your time and your consideration of HB 566, and I urge a favorable report.
Senator Griffith. I thought Senator Elvis was threatening me.
No, she was helping me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Delegate, for your presentation and the pictures that helped me get a sense of what you had in mind. Just looking at the bill and the fiscal note, trying to make sure I understand, your bill would say prospectively for
Yes, ma'am.
bills that come or for buildings that come before the IAC, basically in '23 and beyond.
Absolutely.
They would implement this.
Yes,
And factor that into their design.
Yes.
So anything that's underway.
Nothing retro.
Nothing happening in any of
Absolutely.
our jurisdictions
Unless
today.
they would love to and they want to make that design change on their own, yes, but no, just
Are there-
moving forward.
Do you know, and I may have missed this in your testimony, are there any schools that have this, were your pictures from actual schools?
That is actually from a school in Harford County.
Okay.
Thank past Delegate Andrew Cassidy for giving me those pictures he worked in the school district, and it was something they did. Of course, the first is what they used to do. The second is what they did internally to makeshift something, and then when they had the ability, actually create a design.
Yeah, I don't know about those. I raised two sons, and I saw those small little holes, and I thought, ooh, that could get
Well,
messy.
when it's less, it gets
Right.
easy. Well, but I don't know, but it's a start.
No, thank you, and thanks for those photos. Thank
Absolutely.
you, Mr. Chairman.
Questions? Going once, going twice, thank you.
Sweet.
Okay.
Oh, can I have my pictures back? Unless, okay, good.
Yes,
Important tools.
Return the pictures. We have to pause. And we've done the other Senate bills? We have one bill.
All right, so on your desk should be a list that says consent calendar.
Can I get 10 seconds from you?
Do you see the list? Do you have it? Yes. Okay, just give it a quick look. These are all bills that we have and have passed, and
They're exact matches, and they passed the Senate floor unanimously.
all those in favor? Opposed? Okay.
Those are the ones that are substantively identical, they just need a tweak to the purpose paragraph.
These two?
Yep,
Do they have this list?
they do.
Okay, you see voting list number 24.
Yes. Got it.
Okay. Erica?
So the first one is House Bill 391. This is an exact match, substantively speaking. What needs to happen, however, is a purpose paragraph change at the very end, just to and generally relating to clause was too specific. It needed to be more broad in order to meet the constitutional requirement. So this would just make a tweak in the purpose paragraph. Otherwise, it's identical. This is House Bill 391. It was identical to Senate Bill 114.
Second.
Oh, this was the comptroller's bill. Right. So this one came in under my name, as you may recall. Okay? Yes.
So we worked on this bill, me and you, matter of fact. Did they change it?
All of the substantive provisions are identical.
Okay.
All that needs
So
to
they
change.
conformed the
they
House
did
bill to
indeed.
what we did?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, we just need to amend to get to the,
Legal
the-
sufficiency of the purpose paragraph.
right. Okay. All's in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
For House Bill 893, same exact story, identical. The short title, this is cross-file of Senate Bill 442, dealing with Calvert County Public Facilities bonds. And this amendment would just change the short title of the House bill to match the short title of the Senate bill.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, so we passed the consent. We passed two bills from earlier, two Senate bills, 975 and 953. And we just passed these two bills. Is that it? Okay.
Let's see, 953, 1048,
What was 1048?
the cross-file of 953.
I don't see that on here. Oh, 1048, oh, yeah, I see.
Oh, right, that's in the bill.
Out of order, right.
Yeah.
Oh, right. That was the McCray bill.
Yeah, and 975, Senate Bill 975 from the,
Oh, the Charles? Which
the
one?
Senate Bill 975.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay. That's it? Yeah, he has that one.
Yep, we got that. Yep. Okay. All right, does somebody want to,
We called and they telling us he's in JPR.
what she thinks is more important? Let's see, what's this bill do? I know the Amos Fund. Yeah, I was gonna say, I know this fund. Property acquisition and construction of facilities. Do you have the file?
That's Matt's.
It expands the authorized uses. I believe the Amos Fund was limited to just buying equipment.
Have a seat.
I believe the Amos Fund was just limited to purchase of fire equipment, and this bill would be expanding the authorized uses to acquisition and construction of the actual facilities. I don't have the bill in front of me, but
Yep.
what's the bill number? I'll double check
It's
it here.
930.
Shortcuts down below.
What is with your computer?
Homepage.
This one?
Nope, see the four things below?
What did I click on?
Okay, well, you got it. Okay, there.
I'm there. What was the bill number?
930.
930.
House bill.
House bill.
So what does, it doesn't change the funding amount, just lets them use another purpose.
Another purpose, oh my gosh, they don't have enough.
Yep, authorizes money provided under the fund to be used to acquire land for the purpose of rehabilitation or construction of a fire, a rescue, or an ambulance facility.
Okay. That concludes the hearing. Yes.
I have two bills here that we have heard the cross files on today, the therapeutic child care program and the child care providers and employee bonuses.
For one of them, the sponsor indicated that they're working, they don't match right now,
Okay,
so we need to work that out.
okay.
Okay. All right, so, here's the schedule. Tomorrow morning at 9:30, we'll be voting.
Will that be a long voting session?
It should be a half an hour if we can get it done.
Okay, because the women are gonna have to leave here by 20 after 11.
We are adjusted for that.
So good.
Yep. 9:30. Cross your fingers.
We have delegation at 9.
We got delegation at 8:30, but we'll stop that.
This is gonna be a big one, so.
There's more big things
Mm,
coming?
He's hopeful. Today's the day.
I'm hopeful. All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.